Well, this is my home, yeah. This is my home. Love it, yeah. Mansfield, Forest, Notts County, but this is my place, yeah. I've been fortunate enough to, I was born Church Warsaw. I was actually born in Sycamore Street. Fortunate enough to have a great community spirit. Church Warsaw is a very good, loving, really everybody connected to each other. Everybody looks out for each other. When I left school, I went into the mines, Warsaw, Maine. When I went to Shirebrook, that's where I had my grounding, Warsaw, Maine in Shirebrook.
So my family are from Punjab, which I'm Sikh. So my father came here in 1975 as a junior. Well, he wasn't even, he had to do his equivalent exams in the UK. He started off in Gateshead as a road labourer whilst he was doing his exams. He came over in 75. Promised my mum he'd marry her and come back. So he became a junior doctor here, went back, married my mum, and then they came over in 77 and I was born a year later. So I was born in Lincoln and then we came over to Nottingham when I was, I think, 9 months old.
We originated from Bangladesh. And my dad came 1960s in Mansfield and worked in hosiery mill. And so a lot of people know the factories, they're all closed. And I am the second generation, my children are third. So they come here regularly, to watch stags.
We say, we would say harmless banter. You couldn't get away with, in this day and age, but you have to have broad shoulders because every day of the week, and obviously for my dad earlier, in the 60s for him, it would have been a lot worse. But something, my mum and dad embraced, the culture, and we did as well. And I've just got great times in my childhood, absolutely great times. When I was a kid, couldn't really come to, football matches because it was quite. Don't forget, the national front were quite prominent in the 70s, but now I must say all the clubs who we work with are absolutely brilliant in promoting diversity, not just in black. I'm talking about the homophobic thing, sexuality with the women as well. Like it's I think the football clubs have done really well in promoting and making it all inclusive to all.
I think as a society as a whole, England is a very sort of diverse culture. I think it's something to be proud of. I mean, you spoke about my heritage. I think one of the things that the Sikh community is very proud of is how we integrate into society as a whole. It's very important, I think, that many people that come here integrate into the community that they've joined. And I think many of the communities that come into England do that. And I think it's something to be proud of. The black community, obviously with the Windrush generation. And the impact that West Indian migration had into the countries in the 60s and 70s was huge. And I think football gives people a sense of pride and purpose. And I think one of the key things as well, if you look at football clubs nowadays, they've got football in the community, which is such a huge driver. And obviously there is a commercial aspect to that. And you can understand why it's getting sort of children from ethnic backgrounds to be interested in football at a young age. But I think there is also that giving back to the local community. And I think football clubs are such an integral part of the local community that it is so important to involve people from different sort of ethnic backgrounds. How you approach people is reciprocated. And I've always found that in my life, if you are friendly and you're welcoming, people reciprocate that. And I think that's so important. And I think, the way that you conduct yourself, people then very quickly look past the colour of your skin.
The situation changed dramatically. The FA was keeping an eye on, supporters who's been abusing, a minority audience, watching, football. And I think it does help. And I'm talking about 40 years ago. A lot of people that time, I believe, they go out for day out, they drinks and, maybe influence of drinks, they might do things, shouting, screaming, abusing, white supporter or whom supporter, whatever. But nowadays, you can't get away with it. So you'll get picked out by CCTV or whatever. And especially like Stags is a family oriental club, which is done by John Radford and Caroline. You cannot imagine,
The first black family, so I hear to believe, is the Glens. Tristan Glenn's grandfather, George Glenn. sadly not with us no more. But they was the first black family in Mansfield, so I was believe. Then you obviously got the Robinsons in Mansfield, a really big, really big family. And then for me, Church Warsop, there was us. We lived next door to the Carrs. There were the Glaves, the Wattses, the Browns from Warsop, the Williams. The Cases in Mansfield, there was that, and it was all a nice little, club. In fact, my mum used to go to a nice little West Indian club, Mansfield Family Life Centre, which Nita Williams, she really headed, and it was great. I used to love picking my mum up on a Monday and a Friday and listening, taking my mum back, Mrs. Robinson, and listening to the stories when we talk about back home.
It took me a long time to get recognised as a person and the local person, because I do things for the community. I do associate, I do a lot of charities, and I'm involved in local politics, as you know. And so I do a lot of things, which is people sees me, and whether fast, good or bad, they can judge themselves, But I try to help much as I can to any events or any, community. We like to work together. That's how it is. This culture is British culture. You have to, there's a lot of richness, which is, a lot of people can't share. And we're adapting nicely to this environment.
It's evolved, from the days when I used to watch telly and see people like John Barnes, getting a lot of stick. I used to see, like Cyril Regis, Laurie Cunningham, but I used to hear the boos, I used to always hear about boos. That was always at the back of my mind. But they paved the way. They paved the way to how it is now. And I must say nowadays you hardly hear it at all. It's very, I think there's just been in Spain with what's his name, Vinicius Junior from Real Madrid, where he's getting a lot of stick, and I think he's on for the Ballon d'Or guy like. But here, I think it's the clubs that I work like Mansfield is this is my home as far as I'm concerned, and it's very inclusive, and they wipe it out very, very quickly. My ex-boss is retired now, safety officer Adam Lakin. He was prominent in that. He didn't like any of that at all. And he used to, in every briefing what we still have briefings now, with John carrying on with the new safety officer. We've got John Rutherford. Every briefing we've got is listen for racial, slurs, homophobic slurs and sexuality slurs, all that sort of stuff. And so I think the clubs have done absolutely great. Yeah.
Last 15 years, what chairman did for our clubs, I don't think so in your memory any chairman done that much for the club. So he's bringing the community together, the stack community and the family community to come and watch. Now is every home game is full sold out, so you tell me. So he's extending the bishop stand. So there's a lot of sponsor who's dealing with it, So I'm sure in the future there will be other sponsors coming down into the club, help the chairman to make this more successful. Like I do, been sponsoring for a long, long time. So I'm still, not like before I used to sponsor main, but I do a little bit of sponsoring still with the club.
And I think it starts from the very, very top. That's with John and Carolyn Radford. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. And it's obviously from the board down to the directors, down to the coaches, down to the gaffer. Mr. Clough is absolutely brilliant. And just everybody involved in Mansfield Town. I just think I'm so proud of this place. The club's doing well. When the club does well, the town does well. The community does well. It's happy days for Mansfield. Happy days.